The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Now, back to your turn on 1330 WEBY, Northwest Florida's talk radio. The phone lines are open, so call in and join the conversation at 623-1330.
Aren't you glad that you patiently waited? Carl is back. He is in the Oval Office of Gulf Coast Talk Radio, and you are with him. Freedom Friday with Carl Gallops.
Well, folks, let me just catch up on a couple of things very quickly. I will be, yeah, thanks, Mallory. Thanks. She's asking me a question. Absolutely. I'm listening to her in my earphone over here. But thanks, Mallory. Thank you for taking care of that. I can tell you this coming week I will be attending CPAC in Washington, D.C. Lieutenant Mike Zullo of the Sheriff Arpaio investigation and I will be arriving in Washington together. We will go to the CPAC conference, and there we will meet with as many VIPs as will allow us to meet with them concerning the legal information that we have and the logical information that we have on Barack Hussein Obama. And we've already supposedly have at least one congressman and perhaps a couple of other VIPs that are waiting for us there to begin the conversation. So we're looking forward to that. And they are assuring us that they're going to get other VIPs. I use the term VIP because, members of the media, congressmen, senators, House of Representatives, attorneys general from other states, etc. Those are what I'm talking about. And so we're going to try to gain an audience. And people pray for us. Pray for Mike Zullo and myself, because I'm telling you, folks, if we can't get some of these folks to listen to us on this, it's just over. It's just over, especially in light of how things are coming down the pike right now. Well, listen, I tell you what, I've got a very special guest, and we've got him on the phone line right now, and I want to go to Justice Richard Sanders. Justice Sanders, I've been telling you folks, was going to be on the air today. He is Justice Sanders is a former Supreme Court justice from the state of Washington. He was first elected to the Supreme Court by special election back in, good gracious, was it 1995, Justice Sanders, or 1950? Yes, it was. Yeah, 1995. And then in 1998 and 2004, he was reelected to serve 6-year terms each. 2010, his term expired. He's been a recipient of numerous prestigious professional awards and served as adjunct professor at University of Washington School of Law, a visiting professor at Seattle University, and he was involved, and a lot of my listeners will enjoy this. In 2006, the Washington Supreme Court determined in a 5-4 decision to uphold the state's Defense of Marriage Act, and Justice Sanders expressed in his written decision, he says there exists, quote, a compelling governmental interest to preserve the institution of marriage. God bless you, Justice Sanders, for that decision and many others like it. And God bless you and thank you for being on Freedom Friday today.
Well, thanks a lot for inviting me.
Yeah, well, it's my pleasure. Listen, you know, because we've corresponded by email, you know why I've asked you to come on today. Linda Jordan is a good friend of mine and a good friend of Freedom Fridays, and so a lot of our listeners know this story, but I'm going to ask you to give us just a thumbnail sketch and a retelling of it for those that are just tuning in to us and our newer listeners. We pick up new listeners all the time. But Linda Jordan, very quickly, folks, she has been working on what she believes to be a fraudulent use of a Social Security number by the man in the White House, by Barack Hussein Obama. She's been involved in this investigating process for a long, long time. She gathered her information. She filed it before a court in Washington. She appeared before the court. Now, Justice Sanders, if I say anything wrong, please feel free to correct me in a moment. But my understanding is that she, but basically what the court did, long and short of it is, they basically didn't hear her case on merit, basically said she didn't have a case, and then I don't know if the word fined is the correct judicial term, but told her that she owed them $13,000 for bothering them, basically. Straighten that mess out, Justice Sanders, but tell us what happened and how you got involved in this with Linda Jordan, because you're a former Supreme Court justice on that very court. Tell us about it.
Linda, on her own, representing herself, decided that Barack Obama should not appear on the Washington ballot because she thought that he had a forged birth certificate. Mm-hmm. There was a problem with his Social Security number. So she started a lawsuit against our Secretary of State back in August of last year to try to keep his name off the ballot. The Attorney General represented the Secretary of State, claimed that he really couldn't go behind the certification from the Democrat National Committee, mm-hmm. And succeeded in getting her case dismissed, within a couple of days, without ever hearing the merits of her claim.
Right.
She appealed to the Washington State Supreme Court, once again on her own, and over proceedings over a couple of months. Her case was dismissed. The Attorney General alleged, and the court found that it was frivolous. But not only that, they awarded the Attorney General his request for an award of attorney fees at the rate of about $13,000. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. At that point, she was looking around for a lawyer, and she went to many different lawyers, couldn't find one to represent her, but she finally ended up calling me, and I was happy to do it. So,
okay. Well, let's do this. Please forgive me. It's my fault that we got a hold of you so late. But I've got to take this one quick little break, and when we come back, I want you to tell us why you took the case and where you see this case going, okay?
All right.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Justice Richard Sanders. He's our guest this afternoon. For the next few moments, you're listening to Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups. We'll be right back, America.
Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups.
All right, welcome back, Gulf Coast. Welcome back, America. Justice Richard Sanders, Supreme Court, Washington, former justice there. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Justice Sanders. Now, you were telling us that, so you've taken the case for Linda Jordan as she was levied these charges of $13,000 for trying to handle this case basically on her own. But as you said, the case has not been heard on its merits, but she was charged with bringing something frivolous before the court. So tell us why you've entered into this. Apparently you disagree. Apparently you don't think it was frivolous, at least her approach, and you don't think the court should be doing this. You think the government perhaps is overreaching. Tell us about that.
Well, I got into the case after it was already dismissed, so really the merits of the case are not something that I can do anything about. I'm faced with a court decree saying that it was frivolous, saying that the Attorney General is entitled to an award of reasonable attorney fees. I do have an opportunity to appeal the clerk's award of attorney fees in the amount of $13,000 to a panel of the court or to the full court. So that's where I am in the case.
Right.
And after I got involved, I discovered by the admission of the Attorney General that he had charged the Secretary of State and it was actually paid about $3,500. Yeah. So they're trying to get $13,000 out of this poor lady of modest means when they only paid less than $3,500. Yeah. So that, amongst other things, is the theme of my attack. I think that the handwriting's on the wall, or it's already been established by the court that they're entitled to something, but I'm going to try to hold that down to a reasonable amount, maybe a third or a fourth of what the clerk had awarded. And I think we have a good chance of doing that.
Well, why is it frivolous for a citizen, and just help me now because I don't understand the inner workings of the law, why is it frivolous for a United States citizen to bring concerns before a court that of perhaps constitutional travesty happening, perhaps a national emergency? Why is that frivolous? And without even hearing it on its merits. I mean, if they had taken the case and listened to it and said, you know what, she's a nut, this evidence is nutty, this evidence doesn't hold up, this was frivolous, but they didn't even do that. The fact that she would even dare bring it, it's like they're trying to make an example out of her.
Well, I think they are trying to make an example out of her, and I regret that. I think the government is there to serve people. I think that people should be encouraged to file litigation. Of course, your litigation is not always a winner,
right?
But you shouldn't be punished for trying to access the courts. And I think that this is an uncomfortable trend that government and government lawyers have, and that they try to punish people for trying to vindicate their rights, even if they're unsuccessful in doing so.
Right. And
so, I think the reason her case got dismissed was, as you said, not on the merits, but because the Secretary of State took the position that he had the certification from the Democrat National Committee that Barack Obama was the candidate, and he took the position that if he was wrongfully certified, that's out of his department.
Yeah,
and that,
everybody's taking that
cannot
position.
collaterally attack that decision. Or you mentioned before about Bill Clinton and the stained dress and all that. Well, it's not up to the individual citizen to try to impeach the president. That's only for the Congress. So that's where we are. But I think your basic point is correct, and that is citizens shouldn't be punished for improvidently filing suit against the government to try to get relief. And, we can see in the war on terror, people are tortured, they're kidnapped, they're maimed, sometimes they're killed. Right. But the courts will not hear those cases on the merits.
Well, and let me interject, Justice. What you said. I mean, as I said, we were talking off air just a moment ago. I'm a former lawman. I'm with you. I'm on the side of the law. I'm a law and order kind of guy. I understand this. However, when you have the potential of a constitutional travesty occurring underneath your nose, that the evidence is right before you, as I said, as you and I were talking off the air, we've got the stained blue dress. We've got the Watergate tapes in our hands. We've got the dead body, the smoking gun. It's still on the White House website. And the deal is, you rightly spoke when you said, look, this is Congress's responsibility. That's absolutely right, Justice Sanders. That's what the Constitution says. It is Congress's responsibility. But when they won't even look at it, then where do we the people come in? Where's our recourse? The only recourse we have is the courts. So we turn to the courts as we the people, and the courts want to punish us, and the Congress wants to punish us. Now we're moving away from a representative republic, and we're moving towards socialist states of America spelled with a K.
Well, I think we're moving towards an authoritarian regime where individuals cannot question the constitutionality or the legality of government actions. And just to make sure they don't do it, they're punished when they go to court.
Yeah.
Well, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, not only is it unfortunate, but it's scary, because the last time a government did that to the colonies on this continent, there was a thing called the American Revolution.
That's right. And one of the grievances was that King George had co-opted the courts, that he had made them bend to his own will, and that they were no longer an independent judiciary, but they were dependent upon the king.
Right.
So we don't want that. We want a judiciary that's independent of the executive and the legislative branch, that'll stand up for individual rights.
Right. Well, give me some quick legal advice. Lieutenant Mike Zullo and I are trying to do this correctly. We're going to CPAC. We're going to sit down with attorneys general, and we're going to sit down with congressmen. We're going to try to do it the way the Constitution says we're supposed to do it, although nobody seems to want to follow the Constitution. But what if, now I'm not asking you to take my side on this, but just think about it. What if the guy in the White House is not even a legal U.S. citizen? What if he or somebody around him committed felonies and frauds and forgeries, and now he's the commander-in-chief of the #1 superpower of the world, and no one will do anything about it? Where are we then? What do we do next? I mean, what if Congress just refuses to even look at this? What do we do? What does Linda do? What do I do? What do you do? What do you do? You live in this nation. What do we do?
I guess the ultimate answer that I'd have is I don't know. Because if you were to win a suit like that, first you've got to properly frame the suit. You've got to ask for relief that the court can give you within its jurisdiction. And secondly, if you can do that, then you have the problem of trying to get the court to go along with you.
Yeah.
If you would win that kind of a suit, it would completely upset the apple cart.
Justice Sanders,
the establishment is not going to let you do that.
You're right. We're out of time, and I want to thank you on behalf of the Freedom Friday, a huge audience from coast to coast and around the world. Thank you for taking Linda Jordan's case. May God be with you. Godspeed. God bless you, Justice Sanders. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, God bless you. All right, well, folks, you are listening to Freedom Friday with Carl Gallup.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.